test to check that your English language is suitable to be used in countries speak English as native language, or also in the universities that you can contact with the language. Is divided into 4 parts. The first 4 skills, we call them also. The first module is the listening. The second module is the reading. The third module is the writing. And the fourth module is the speaking. Today we are going to talk about task 2, writing. Okay, essay. How to write an essay. So please, you may just have a look on the screen. How to write an essay and how to increase your points in the essay, your mark in the essay. Okay? Now, how to write an essay? We write an essay by using the indented Y, not the block. What's the indented Y? As we know, the essay is divided into paragraphs. So you leave a space of 2 words of the first line for each paragraph. And the same space you left in the first paragraph, you leave in the second, the third, and so on. Okay? This is the how we look at the essay, the shape of it. This is the indented Y. What's an essay consisted of? It's consisted of a prologue, or what we call introduction, a plot, or the body. Salam. Hello, Sama. How's it going? Fine. Or the epilogue, which we also call the conclusion. Now, let's come here to things to avoid using in the essay. Do not use I, my, we, our in the body. Not in the introduction, not in the conclusion. In the body, try not to use those expressions. Why? Because the body is just to explain the subject, not to give your opinion. Okay? This is really important when you write. Do not use every something, no something, all something. For example, let's say everyone in my university, all the students in Iraq, nobody in Iraq. You can't use it. Why? Because they mean an absolute case, 0% or 100%, and that's an impossible case. We are talking about an impossible probability here. Why? Because, for example, if you say all Iraqis love kebab, are you sure? That's impossible. I have my mother doesn't like kebab. Okay? My daughter and one of my sons do not like kebab. So it's not all Iraqis love kebab. Got the idea? Yes, you may use, we have some suitable uses instead. For example, a huge number of Iraqis. Most of Iraqis. Almost all Iraqis. Almost, this expression will make the difference here. Because you are not giving a specific percentage. When you give a specific percentage, also you need to base it on a study. And actual study, a dependable study, not a study of your mind. No, you can't. Got the idea? And don't use shortened forms. You can't use abbreviation in writing. For example, he is. You need to write he and is. You can't write his. Got the idea? Okay. Now, we've just talked about the most important things before we start how to write an essay. How to write an essay. That's the most important thing. When you have a statement like, for example, many museums charge for admission while others are free, then it's followed by a question. Do you think the advantages of charging people for admission to museums outweigh the disadvantages? Advantages outweigh. Outweigh means cover, overshadow. We may use also. Okay? This is the meaning of it. So, how to start the introduction? The first thing you do is that you paraphrase the statement. Paraphrase means rewrite it, in other words, giving the same precise meaning. When you rewrite it, you don't have to paraphrase it 100%. No. You just need to paraphrase it, let's say, 30% to 70%. That's more than enough. You just pick some words and write synonyms of those words, but they must mean the same precise meaning. Let's take an example. Some museums have an admission charge while some do not. If you read it, many museums charge for admission while others are free. Some museums have an admission charge while some do not. This paraphrasing sentence gives the same precise meaning of the statement, okay? After that, you give your opinion. Whether you write in my opinion, in my point of view, let's say as I believe, something like that. An expression means your opinion. Then after giving your opinion, you need to answer the question with reasons. You need to answer the question with reasons. The question says, do you think the advantages of charging people for admission to museums outweigh the disadvantages? The advantages cover the disadvantages or not? Now you write your opinion in answering this question. In my opinion, the drawbacks, which means the disadvantages, this word is a high band score word. Sorry, I'm having the nasosinusitis today and it's affecting me, okay? The drawbacks is a synonym to disadvantages. When you use it, it's a high band word score. For example, you take 5 or 5.5 for using disadvantages. You take 9 for using this word. Look at the difference. Drawbacks, okay? The drawbacks of an entrance fee are eclipsed. Eclipsed here means outweighed. And also it means overshadowed. Also it means covered, okay? Are eclipsed by its benefits. Benefits means advantages. You may also use utilities. Utilities. U-T-I-L-I-T-I-E-S. Utilities in the sense that now you are giving the reasons, because the reasons will be explained in the body. Okay? Now, in the sense that the income will be plowed back into operation and development of the museums. Now, let me repeat. How to write the introduction. When you have a question like that, the statement says, many museums charge for admission while others are free. The question says, do you think the advantages of charging people for admission to museums outweigh the disadvantages? The first thing you do is to paraphrase the statement. After that, you write an expression means your opinion. Then you answer this question, the question that you are given, with reasons. This is the most important thing. And the words and the expressions you use will make the difference in the scores of the end. For example, using advantage and disadvantage is a low band word score. But using drawbacks, benefits, utilities, no, they are high band word scores, okay? Now, some museums have an admission charge while some do not. This is the paraphrasing sentence of the statement. In my opinion, you may write in my point of view, as I believe. The drawbacks of an entrance fee are eclipsed by its benefits in the sense that the income will be plowed back into operation and development of the museums. Be careful of one important thing. When you answer the question, do not write I think. Why? Because you've already written in my opinion. When you wrote in my opinion, you can't write I think. Just like when you talk about someone, you say he. Got the idea? And instead of saying he is good, you say he is good. It will be the same case. Any questions so far? No questions? Okay. Now, after finishing the introduction, you need to go to the plot, to the body. The body is usually divided into two paragraphs. One paragraph to be with your opinion, one paragraph to be the opposite of your opinion. Which one to start with? You are free. You may start with the one of the opposite of your opinion, or with the one that supports your opinion. Okay? Here, started with the opposite of the opinion. A major disadvantage. When you talked about advantages, your opinion was supporting the advantages. Here we started with the one of the disadvantages. We are free. We may start with the one that supports my opinion. I'm free. Okay? Now, how to write the paragraph of the body? This is really important. You start with a main sentence, which we call the sentence which carries the main idea, which means the heading sentence, or also it's called the topic sentence. Okay? After writing the heading sentence, you need to support it with 2 or 3 sentences at least. When you support it with those sentences, how to write the supporting sentences? This is really important. When you write the supporting sentences, your sentences after the main sentence, after the sentence which carries the main idea, should answer one of 2 questions or the 2 questions. How and why. Okay? Let's come to explain it more in details. A major disadvantage of an admission fee is the possibility of reducing the number of visitors. That's the main sentence here of this paragraph. Okay? When we wrote the main sentence of this paragraph, we need to support it. Look at the other sentences. Museums house exhibitions and artifacts of a great educational and historical value. Here, the following sentence answering the question how. Right? We said a major disadvantage of an admission fee is the possibility of reducing the number of visitors. How and why? Museums house exhibitions and artifacts of a great educational and historical value. Sorry, we come to explain it more. If the chief aim of a museum is to introduce the local community, admission should be free to the public and visitors. We finished. We don't have more explanation, but as we know, we need to write at least 250 words. So what can we do now? If we don't write more, that means we will be in a shortage of the number of the words. My scores will be less than I expect. For example, I need 6.5 or 7 in the writing module, but now I will take 5 to 5.5. What can I do? I don't have anything to explain more. Give an example. Got it? Give an example. And also giving an example will support your idea, and it will be just like a proof to what you wrote. Okay? Here. Let's continue here. Sorry, let me just... Okay, it's here. Take some folk museums in Hong Kong, which preserve historic relics and display folk customs. For example, admission to these folk museums, which are often monuments, is free of charge. If they had charged an entrance fee, many might have turned to other activities. Okay? Any questions here? Do not hesitate asking. Who's got a question? Yes?
No, sorry, I just ask about this.
Yes.
As you say, when I want to give more words, I give example. An example I can improve
Yes,
writing.
yes, which is related to what you are
Or
discussing.
about the subject, what
Yes, to the idea of the paragraph.
Yeah.
It should be related to the idea of the paragraph. Relevant, a relevant one. It will support your idea.
Also, can I give more example, like the Iraq of museum?
Yes, why not? But one example would be enough. Okay? Most welcome. Okay, who has more questions? Okay? Now, let's move to the opposite paragraph. I mean the second paragraph of the body, which gives an idea which is the opposite of this idea. Granted, an entrance fee might have a negative effect on the admission figures, but an income is favorable to museums in terms of operation. If you notice this one, which supports my idea. If you notice here, the idea, if you remember, supports my opinion. We need to charge people money to let them enter the museums. Okay? Why? But why? This one supports it. An entrance fee might have a negative effect on the admission figures, but an income is favorable to museums in terms of operation. I gave it with the reason. Okay? Now, I will explain how and why. Museums feature educational exhibitions at times, and this could not have been done without a sum of money expended on hiring professionals and buying equipment. I explained how and why. Now I come to an example. Why? Because I'm lack of ideas. I'm lack of words. What can I do? I will give an example which supports my main idea in this paragraph. And by the way, writing an example will increase your score, especially if it is relevant and well organized. Okay? Now, let's take the example here. The Hong Kong Space Museum, for instance means for example, yes, has monthly exhibitions on different issues, and professional docents are employed to take visitors on a guided tour around the museum. This example speaks volumes about how a reasonable admission charge is advantageous to the operation of a museum.
You answer about the reason.
Yes, I answered the reason. Got it? What should we do with the money? What would we do with the money? We will do that. Okay? A very important thing I would like you to notice here. Docents. What else? Guided tour. Speaks volumes. Reasonable. Advantageous. And those words. Okay? Those will increase your score. Those words will increase your score. For example, if you use weaker words, you might take 6 for this one. For this, let's say for the entire essay. But using those words will increase it to 7.5 or even 8 expressions. I will give an example. Firstly, when you want to talk about something, you sequence it using the sequence of firstly. Firstly is correct, 100% correct, okay? But using initially is better. Why? Firstly is a weak use. Initially is a high band score word. When you use firstly, you might take 5 for using this word. But when you use initially, you might take 7 or even 8. Got the idea? Using high band word scores is better than using the weaker ones. For example, when you want to say about the weather, it's hot. Using hot is something usual. Everybody knows the meaning of the word hot. But if you use sweltering, if you use scorching, it's different. It's different. Why? They are uncommon words. Uncommon words for people who speak English as a second language, not for them. Got the idea? Yes, I mean for us. Okay, for us it's something uncommon. Just like in Iraq we have several words. And instead of saying hot, we say the Iraqi use of the word hot or some expression. You will know this person speaks Iraqi very well. Right? Yeah. Okay, now, until this moment, have you got any questions? No questions so far? Okay. Let's come to the conclusion. How to write the conclusion? The first thing, you need to start it with an expression to show the reader that this is the conclusion. This is the end of my essay. For example, in conclusion, to conclude.
Summary.
Yes, it's okay, but it's a low band word use. In summary, to sum up, low band word uses. In conclusion, to conclude are better. They are right, not wrong. But you have high band and low band use. Okay? Now, in conclusion, how to write the conclusion? Let me read it and tell you what is happening here. The disadvantages of an admission fee are overshadowed by the benefits occurring from a stable source of income. I rewrote my opinion in a different way, giving the same precise meaning. In other words, you write the expression of the conclusion, which we wrote here in conclusion, then you rewrite your opinion, you paraphrase your opinion, the one which you wrote, which you answered the question with. Okay? If you notice here, the drawbacks of an entrance fee are eclipsed by its benefits. It's the same sentence precisely of the disadvantages of an admission fee are overshadowed by the benefits. It's the same one precisely, but written in a different way, paraphrased to give the same precise meaning. After that, we have a good expression here, something to increase your score. You don't need to write it, but if you want to increase your score, use it. Therefore, having weighed up the pros and cons, I'm convinced that. I believe that. Okay? Now, therefore, having weighed up the pros and cons, I'm convinced that. Now, you support your opinion. You support it. For example, by a recommended sentence, just like what we did here. I'm convinced that museums should charge an entrance fee with the reasons that you mentioned in the introduction for the sake of operation and development. Okay? This is a perfect essay. This essay was written by professors, British professors, and it's a perfect essay that nobody can write alike. And this essay is estimated as 9. 9 out of 9 in the IELTS. Okay? So if you can write one alike, and you take 7, 7.5, 8 in the writing module, is something marvelous, which means more than great. Okay. Now, after finishing this essay, who has a question? Who has a question? Yes, please.
The conclusion.
Yes.
You mean I should same my opinion, but I rewrite.
Paraphrase it.
Paraphrase, just.
Yes.
No need to get another opinion.
No.
Same what I write in the body.
Yes.
Paraphrase.
Then, after that, you restate your opinion that you believe in, you are sure of that, you are convinced of that, and you give it as a recommended one, just like this one. Museums should charge an entrance fee, and you mention the reason.
Because,
Got the idea?
say operational and development. This is
Yes,
finished. I answer what I want to.
that's it.
Okay.
Okay? This will support your opinion in the beginning, in the introduction, the one which you wrote. Okay?
What about the word in the conclusion? Need 200 words or short conclusion?
No, the conclusion is just like the introduction.
Yes.
It's not that long.
Not like the body.
No, the body is longer, usually longer. Why? Because you need to write at least 250 words. That means you will write from 260 to 300. Okay? Don't make it short, less than 250, and don't make it too long, more than 300 words. It's more recommended to be between 260 and 290. Not less than, not more than. Okay? It's more recommended. Okay, who's got more questions? Nobody? Okay. We will take some recommendations here. Let me explain briefly. Introduction. In the introduction, we paraphrase the statement, then we answer the question. When we answer the question, we show our opinion, then answering the question with reasons. Okay? After that, we start discussing the sides, both sides. The side which supports my opinion and the side which is against my opinion, which is the opposite of my opinion. You need to discuss both sides. You can't discuss one side only because this will decrease what you deserve. Okay? Now, how to write the paragraphs of the body? The first thing, you start with the main idea, then supporting this idea. How to support the idea? By writing sentences answering the questions how and why. Or how or only why. Then after that, you may give an example to support this main idea. When you give an example to support this main idea, this will increase your band score. Well, then in the second paragraph of the body is the same thing, but it will be the opposite of the first one. Then after that, you write the conclusion. The conclusion is a summary of main ideas and opinion. What does this mean? The first thing, you start with an expression showing that this is the conclusion. I'm a reader. I don't know. Maybe this is not the conclusion. Got the idea? So, show me that this is the conclusion. After that, you rewrite your opinion when you answered the question of the essay. Rewrite it, but you need to paraphrase it. That means rewriting it in other words, giving the same precise meaning. Then you restate your opinion as a recommended sentence with the reasons. Okay. Any questions here? No questions? So, we will take a break for 10 minutes. After the break, we are going to explain two essays. One of them is of one of the candidates who took 7, and the other one is for one of the candidates who took 4.5. And we will explain why. We will also explain the examiner's opinion. Okay. Now, since we have talked about how to write a good essay, now let's talk about another subject. How to make your essay better. Sorry, I don't think it's working. Oh. I'm not that good with these things. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, we will take an example here from book 16 of IELTS Cambridge. Here, you should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Some people say that now is the best time in history to be living. What's your opinion about that, about this? What other time in history would be interesting to live in? Here you have two questions. You have the statement, and after that you have two questions here you need to answer and support it with reasons. Okay? Now, let's come here to check what a candidate who took the score of 7 wrote. Of living. At least in the Western world, making life actually worth living. Advances in medical treatments and the invention of new drugs all have allowed us to live long and healthy lives. We no longer face the problems of food and water scarcity thanks to new agricultural techniques that allow farmers to produce larger quantities of food. Everyone, no matter its race and religion, can receive a proper education and make a decent living out of a good job. We should not also undervalue things such as the freedom of speech, which hasn't always been guaranteed in the past. Let's go back to this one. Breakthroughs, advancements, dramatically. What else? Actually, advances, scarcity, quantities, here, race, proper, decent, undervalue, speech, guaranteed. Those words increased the band score of this author, the one who wrote this piece of writing. Okay? If you notice simple words, they are simple words, just like guaranteed, advancements, dramatically. Those uses increased the score. It's really important to work on increasing your score. I'm having a schedule of some sheets of paper on my Telegram channel. You may find it there. Okay? Now, let's go on. However, the use of however here also increased. You may also say in contrast. You may also say on the other hand.
Or the other word also.
Yes, but on the other hand is more preferable. In contrast is the best use here. Yes. However, if I had the chance to choose another time, there is a mistake here. Another should be written as one word, not separated two words. Okay? Another time in our history to live in, I would opt for ancient Rome. Opt is something, let's say, will increase your band score. Opt. I think it would be interesting to try living in a society whose beliefs and values significantly differs from our. There are some mistakes here. Let's say here whose beliefs and values significantly differ. There's a grammatical mistake here. Should be differ, not differs. From ours, not our. We can't use an adjective of possession here. We call it possessive adjective. No, we need to use a pronoun of possession. a possessive pronoun here. Okay, ours. Why? Because it's not followed by the possessed noun. Okay? Those things affected half a mark. Within those mistakes, simple mistakes, this one, the candidate who wrote this one, could have taken 7.5. I'm talking with the lack of the full introduction, which we call full thesis statement also. Okay? Now, let's go on. In today's world, the most valuable personal qualities are selfishness and greed. We tend to put ourselves before others, whereas in my opinion, things were different for the ancient civilizations, for which the society as a whole came first. In the end is a weak use, also affected. I think we could learn some very interesting lessons from our past without having to sacrifice all the efforts made to get where we are today. The conclusion also is not full. There are some missing items in the conclusion. This person could have taken at least 8 if he or she wrote a full introduction and a full conclusion, even with those mistakes in the body. Okay? There are some things you need to care about. Let's see what the examiners wrote. Here is the examiner's comment. The examiner's comment is really important for you to avoid or to depend on. The things that he mentions. This is a well-developed response which presents a range of evidence to justify the opinion expressed, including improvements in science, technology, medical treatments, agriculture, education, employment opportunities, and freedom of speech. There is also a clear rationale for the other time in history that would be interesting to live in. He's talking about the general idea of the piece of writing. Now, the examiner is going to specify, okay? Ideas are arranged logically with one paragraph exploring each part of the question. However, we cannot say that this paragraphing is used appropriately, which I told you about, okay? This person did not write the introduction well, nor the conclusion well. He just gave a sentence in the introduction and one sentence in the conclusion. This piece of writing could be at least excellent if he or she wrote a good introduction with a good conclusion. So, when you write, you need to arrange your writing. It's really important to write the introduction, as we have just talked about. I mean, before the break, we talked about it, and also the conclusion in the way that we talked about. Okay? Now, the first and last paragraphs have only one sentence, which I have just told you, and it's not clear if the final sentence is a new paragraph. That means he did not explain the conclusion well. The overall score of this response would be improved with an appropriate introductory and concluding paragraph. Okay? Other aspects of cohesion are good. Those who claim that, whose beliefs, to get where we are today. With some slips, its race, their race, our should be ours. Okay? Now, the examiner talked about the weaknesses and also the strengthening points of it. The use of vocabulary is precise breakthroughs in science and advancements in technology, making life worth living, freedom of speech, ancient civilizations, despite a few slips. An other should be another as one word, which there is a mistake in spelling, should be WHICH. And the range of grammatical structures is wide, with the frequent examples of error, free complex sentences. There are a few slips. For example, third person agreement differs, it should be differ. Why? Because it talks about a plural expression. And a plural ending before other should be before others. But overall, there is good control. Now, this person's or this candidate's body is almost perfect, is excellent. That's why he took 7. If he would have written a good introduction and a good conclusion, would have taken 8 or even 8.5. Okay? So, now, have you got any questions here about this piece of writing?
Just at the
Yes.
end of the section, you talk about this. He or she used this in the end. What the appropriate word can I use?
In conclusion.
In conclusion. Okay.
To conclude. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. What else? No questions? Okay. Now, let's move to another one. Here. This one took 4.5. Why did he or she took 4.5? Let's see. Let me go back to the question. Just a minute. Okay. You should spend about 4 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. In their advertising, businesses nowadays usually emphasize that their products are new in some way. Why is this? Do you think it's a positive or negative development? Okay? Please try to remember this question. Why is this? Do you think it's a positive or negative development? Now, look, this is an answer written by a candidate who achieved a band 4.5 score. In their advertising, businesses nowadays sometimes stress that their products are new in some way. From my point of view, some businesses want to have a good product. Some businesses want to have good products to give to the people. Sorry, just a second, because I need to see it well. Okay. Sorry. But usually, sorry. Thank you. But usually, they worry about their products are never than some others businesses' products. This is supposed to be the introduction. And think it's a negative development, because when businesses stress about the quality of their products, sometimes they do something wrong while they are producing them. It's good when the businesses take care of and look after their products, but with a limit. According to some experts, when you take a lot of care of something, you will probably do some things about it wrong. From my own experience, I was trying to make 3 school projects which my teachers asked me to do. And despite my hard work and because I was stressed about the projects I had to do, I finally failed because I had made a lot of mistakes. To sum up, businesses nowadays should not stress about their products being new in some way. Besides that, they should calm down and be careful on what they are producing. Okay, here is the examiner's comment. This response does not really address the requirements of the question. This is the most important thing. You still remember the question, right? Okay? The one who wrote this piece of writing did not answer the question. If you remember, before the break, we said paraphrase, give your opinion, express or write some expression to show your opinion, then answer the question with reasons, right? This one did not answer the question. This response does not really address the requirements of the question. That means did not answer the question well and did not support his idea and did not write about the opposite idea. He wrote about something else. Got it? Okay. There is a view expressed of the beginning of the second paragraph, a negative development. But mainly the writer is talking about the quality of a products rather than advertising. Got it? Just like when I ask you, what's your name? You tell me, thank you very much, I'm fine. It's the same thing. Okay? What's your name? My name is. Oh, just say your name. Okay? It's the same thing for the writing. They ask you about, for example, about mobile phones. And you write about laptops. It's totally different. As if you haven't written anything. Okay? Now, but mainly the writer is talking about the quality of products rather than advertising. In the third paragraph, an example is given about an unsuccessful school project which is not relevant to the question either. It's not about advertising. He did not even link it to advertising, right? Okay, let's go back to it. Where is it? Here, the second paragraph. And think it's a negative development because when businesses stress about the quality of their products, sometimes they do something wrong while they are producing them. Where is the advertising, let's say, expression, advertising, relevant sentence or something about it? Something like that. Where is it? So, when you write, you need to be careful and you need to be precise with your writing because they care about each single word and each single expression. When you write something irrelevant, which is not related to the subject, it will be against you. They will not just trespass it. No. It will be a weakness point against you. Okay? Don't worry, there is a wedding. Yes. Okay? Now, and we are far from the main street. We are inside. Okay. Okay. Now, let's come to the third paragraph. From my own experience, I was trying to make 3 school projects which my teachers asked me to do, and despite my hard work and because I was stressed about the projects I had to do, I finally failed because I had made a lot of mistakes.
Another subject, he didn't talk about this.
What's this? Okay, where is the thing that talks about advertising?
Yeah,
Right?
it's clear.
The question is about advertising. It does not talk about your experience of projects or something like that. So as I told you 5 minutes ago or 6 minutes ago, okay, what's your name? I'm fine, thank you. Yes, okay, it's the same thing. Okay, okay, now. So avoid that, please. Okay, now, let's go back. Ideas are not arranged. Sorry, where is it? Okay, this response only touches on the question set and is a tangential response. Ideas are not arranged coherently as they do not address the task given. Paraphrasing is not helpful, and there is a one-sentence paragraph. A one-sentence paragraph. In task 2, if you write a paragraph of one sentence, is against you. Okay? The paragraph should contain at least 2 embedded sentences or 3 sentences and more. Any paragraph when you write, because the 3 sentences will be 3 or 4 lines, at least, right? Okay? Now, sentence structure shows a mix of simple and more complex forms with a range of tenses and modal and comparative structures. There are a number of errors, but they do not reduce communication. As we mentioned, the examiner's comment is really important, and you need to link it to the piece of writing when you try to develop and improve your writing. The most important thing is that you start with the introduction, which contains, if you remember what we said, the first thing is paraphrasing the statement, then writing an expression to show your opinion. Then after that, when you write your opinion, you need to answer the question that you are given with reasons. Sorry. In this case, you will have at least 2 embedded sentences. 2 embedded sentences, just like you are writing 4 or 5 sentences together. Okay? Then after that, you start the body. In the body, when you write, you need to express two opinions. The one which supports yours, the one which is the opposite of yours, the opposite of your opinion. When you start with the paragraph of the body, whether the first or the second, no problem, okay? You start with a heading sentence, a head sentence, which means the topic sentence, the main idea. You support it with 2 sentences answering the question how and why, or how or why. Then you give an example to support the idea, the main idea, and that would increase your score. Then after that, the opposite opinion paragraph will be the same thing. That means it will be at least 4 or 5 sentences. Then after that, you write the conclusion, write an expression to show the conclusion, in conclusion, to conclude. Then you paraphrase your answering to the question, your opinion. In other words, paraphrase it and write it. Then after that, restate your opinion as a recommended sentence with the reasons that you mentioned. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm really delightful and glad to see you today. If you have any questions, do not hesitate asking me. Okay, thank you. If you have questions, please, you may ask. Okay. Okay, we come to the end of our free workshop today. Wish that you got the benefit and wish you all the best. Okay? Thank you.